The NBA season has begun, and to the surprise of many, the Golden State Warriors have reemerged as a force few expected to see again. The team that for years was synonymous with spectacle, intelligence, and tactical dominance seemed to have lost its shine. Age was catching up, criticism was piling on, and the dominant narrative pointed to an inevitable end of an era. But in San Francisco, what we see is something completely different. There is new energy behind the scenes, a flame reignited within a group that knows the taste of glory and refuses to fade quietly. With 4 wins and just 1 loss at the start of the campaign, Golden State is once again playing with the confidence and precision that defined its golden era. Stephen Curry remains the same maestro, controlling the rhythm of the game with almost absurd ease. Draymond Green, still the defensive brain, maintains the balance between intensity and strategy. And Jimmy Butler, the reinforcement many doubted, has fit in as if he had always been part of this story. The trio, rejuvenated and determined, carries not only experience, but also the mission to prove that while time may pass, the champion's instinct never disappears. Inside the Chase Center, the atmosphere is one of absolute focus. No player seems interested in reliving old glories or listening to comparisons with the past. The goal is simple: compete in the present. The group trains with discipline, manages minutes intelligently, and understands that the season is a marathon, not a sprint. Still, behind the scenes, conversations about possible reinforcements have already begun to echo. Golden State knows that, to survive in an increasingly physical and fast league, it must prepare for what's coming. The name most cited among analysts is Lauri Markkanen. The Finn, with his deadly shooting and rare mobility for a player of his size, would fit like a glove in a system that values spacing and reading the game. He would bring youth, versatility, and offensive power without compromising tactical structure. But he's not the only target drawing curiosity. Sources close to the front office claim that even Giannis Antetokounmpo has been mentioned in internal meetings. An unlikely dream, but not an impossible one. After all, Golden State has already shown it knows how to act silently before surprising the world. The biggest question, however, revolves around one name dominating the headlines: Joel Embiid. The Cameroonian center, one of the most dominant players of the modern era, would be the kind of addition capable of transforming any team into an immediate title contender. His impact on both ends of the floor is unquestionable. However, his physical condition raises doubts. Since early 2024, Embiid has been dealing with recurring knee issues, which makes any deal a calculated risk. Moreover, his massive contract represents a financial challenge even for a well-structured franchise like Golden State. To make such a trade possible, key names like Draymond Green or Jonathan Kuminga would have to be included. And that's where the dilemma becomes real. Giving up a player who symbolizes the tactical heart of the team for another who, despite his talent, carries physical uncertainties is a decision that could alter the entire DNA of the franchise. Inside the locker room, the topic is handled cautiously. Everyone knows that rumors are part of the business, but they also understand that such changes affect the collective spirit. For now, the word of the moment is stability. Despite the speculation, what stands out most is the chemistry of the current roster. The offensive system flows naturally. The short passes, constant movement, and three-point accuracy recall the days when the team redefined how basketball was played. The difference now is greater emotional control and maturity. Butler has brought the cold, relentless mentality that complements Curry's creativity and Green's competitive fire. This mix of patience and ferocity makes Golden State a real threat once again. The coaching staff knows the key to success will be balancing preservation and intensity. Injuries and fatigue are always the invisible enemies of veteran teams. That's why minute management is treated as a science. The medical department monitors every detail, from joint impact to post-game muscle recovery levels. Nothing is left to chance. The philosophy is clear. Every player must reach the playoffs at their physical and mental peak, and that requires daily discipline. But defense still causes concern. The numbers show that Golden State ranks among the league's weakest teams in rebounding and rim protection. This fragility shows especially against taller, more athletic teams. The absence of a dominant center limits their ability to control the paint, and that's exactly where names like Embiid and Markkanen return to the radar. The team needs someone who not only defends the rim, but also commands respect, a player who changes the opponent's rhythm merely by being on the floor. Even with those gaps, there's something different about this roster. There's a sense of purpose that goes beyond statistics. The group understands that the Warriors' legacy is sustained not only by titles, but by the way the team inspires and challenges the limits of collective play. Every game is an opportunity to prove that their style is still relevant, even amid an era dominated by physicality and individualism. It's a symbolic duel between mind and muscle, and so far, the mind is winning. Meanwhile, the backstage remains busy. Scouting reports reach the front office regularly. Performance analysts cross-reference data on potential targets. And among those reports, one name has been gaining attention fast: Kai Sotto. The 18-meter Filipino center, considered one of Asia's greatest basketball prospects, is on Golden State's radar. The interest goes far beyond statistics. It's about strategic vision and global expansion. Kai represents something Golden State values deeply: talent with purpose. His journey inspires millions. From a young age, he defied expectations, left his country in pursuit of growth, and earned his place in competitive leagues in Australia and Japan. His game is technical, disciplined, and modern. He's not just a tall player, he's an athlete who understands the game, moves well, and has the potential to fit seamlessly into the Warriors' fast-passing cutting system. Moreover, his arrival would create a massive cultural impact. The Filipino community is one of the most passionate basketball fan bases in the world, and the Bay Area hosts one of the largest outside the Philippines. It would be a natural connection between fans and franchise. In the boardroom, this aspect is seen as a strategic opportunity. At a time when the NBA seeks to strengthen its international presence, bringing in a globally appealing player is more than a marketing move. It's a way to build cultural bridges. For many, Kai Sotto symbolizes the new generation of international basketball: disciplined, technical, and emotionally prepared for the world's toughest stage. Within the coaching staff, his name appeals for another reason. He offers what the current roster lacks: height and physical presence without sacrificing mobility. Kai can protect the rim, contest shots, and also contribute on offense with smart passes and mid-range shooting. His development in foreign leagues has made him adaptable, used to different styles of play. That makes him a valuable piece for a team seeking versatility and renewal. The idea of having him under the mentorship of veterans like Curry, Butler, and Green excites analysts. Training daily with players who master fundamentals and understand the value of discipline could accelerate his growth. He would learn firsthand the meaning of commitment, a winning mentality, and tactical responsibility. In an environment as competitive as Golden State's, that experience would be invaluable. In practical terms, Kai wouldn't arrive as a star, but as a long-term investment, a bet on potential, with room to grow within a solid structure. Golden State is not just a team, it's a basketball school. And under Steve Kerr's guidance, any player willing to learn finds the ideal environment to flourish. The coach's philosophy is simple: everyone must understand the game before mastering it. Kai, with his intelligence and humility, fits perfectly into that concept. But there's also a symbolic reading. Kai Sotto's possible arrival at Golden State would mark a milestone for an entire generation. He would represent not only his country, but all young players who dream of crossing borders and proving they belong at the highest level. His presence would carry a wave of hope, not only for Filipino fans, but for the entire international basketball scene. And for a franchise that has always valued impact beyond the court, that is something priceless. As the rumor around Kai grows, the team keeps winning. Recent victories reinforce the idea that Golden State is once again a feared opponent. The pace is sharp, the offensive movement flows, and the defense, while still needing refinement, shows collective effort. Confidence is visible. There's a sense that something special is being built again, perhaps not with the same explosiveness as before, but with wisdom and purpose. The fans, in turn, believe again. The Chase Center beats once more with the energy that seemed lost. Every three-pointer, every steal, every collective play rekindles the memory of a glorious past, but with the awareness that the future might be even more interesting. There's a mix of nostalgia and anticipation. And amid it all, Golden State marches on, aware that every victory is more than just a number. It's a message that the champion's mentality is never lost. It simply evolves. As victories continue to build hope, Golden State knows it cannot get carried away by excitement. The NBA season is long and unforgiving, and what feels like euphoria today can turn into frustration in a matter of weeks. Within the organization, there is full awareness that the real challenge begins when fatigue sets in, when bodies start to show signs of wear and consistency is tested night after night. What keeps the team standing is not only talent, but the mentality forged through years of battles and learning. That culture is what separates champions from contenders, and Golden State seems to have rediscovered exactly that, a collective sense of purpose. Behind the scenes, planning is meticulous. Each game is analyzed as part of a larger puzzle. The front office and coaching staff review performance statistics, movement patterns, and physical trends to anticipate dips in form. The goal is to avoid the sudden collapse that so often hits veteran squads. Decisions are not based on emotion, but on data and projections. This is the philosophy behind Golden State's quiet success, winning through intelligence. Even so, external pressure remains constant. Journalists and analysts question whether the team should act now and secure a major reinforcement before it's too late. Some claim that a bold trade at this moment could turn the team into an immediate title contender. Others argue that tampering with the current balance would waste months of internal construction. The dilemma is real. Remain faithful to identity or risk everything in pursuit of a rare opportunity. The name Joel Embiid continues to hover as a tempting promise. A player of his caliber can change the fate of any franchise, but his physical uncertainty makes the scenario unstable. A healthy Embiid is a nightmare for any defense. Injured, he becomes an anchor, dragging down the rotation. At Golden State, where the efficiency of every minute matters, a high-risk player could become a tactical burden. That's why the executives have been cautious. They understand that the cost of a wrong decision could be the dissolution of an entire legacy. While speculation swirls, the internal focus remains on developing the young players. Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody have shown visible growth. Their contributions go beyond statistics. They bring energy and intensity to the court. They are the link between present and future, learning the language of the system while shaping what is to come. The transition philosophy is clear. Veterans teach, youngsters absorb, and together they keep the competitive flame alive. In training, this process is evident. Curry, always meticulous, guides the younger ones on reading the game and positioning. Butler demands commitment and discipline. Green insists on communication and courage. Daily coexistence creates an environment of constant learning. No one is spared, but everyone is valued. This balance between demand and trust forms the kind of culture that sustains dynasties. Golden State understands that building the future does not mean abandoning the present, but aligning both in a single purpose. Meanwhile, Kai Sotto continues to be monitored from afar. His recent progress in the Japanese league has drawn even more attention from scouts. What stands out most is not just his imposing stature, but the calm with which he executes actions that often intimidate young players. His game reading and tactical intelligence show above-average maturity. For Golden State, he represents not only a technical solution, but a symbol of the NBA's global future. Inside the organization, there is consensus that Sotto would be a long-term investment with great strategic value. Golden State has always viewed basketball as an ever-expanding ecosystem. Attracting international talent, integrating them into the team culture, and shaping them within a solid structure is part of its vision of continuity. Kai fits perfectly into that logic. Young, disciplined, skilled, and with the potential to grow under the right guidance. The management knows that modern basketball rewards adaptability. Traditional positions are disappearing, and the game demands versatility. A center who can pass, move, and shoot is more valuable than ever. That is why Kai draws so much interest. He would not be just another player, but a piece that expands tactical possibilities. With him in rotation, Golden State could switch between taller or faster lineups without losing identity. But there is another factor that makes this potential signing even more attractive: cultural impact. Kai Sotto's presence in the NBA would represent a bridge between continents. The Philippines breathes basketball, and the connection with the Filipino community in the Bay Area would create one of the most captivating stories of the season. It would not be just a sporting move, but an emotional one. The NBA has always valued symbols, and Kai is exactly that, a symbol of persistence, resilience, and belonging. For Golden State, that symbolism carries weight. The franchise understands the power of narrative. Just as at the height of its dynasty it redefined the style of play and inspired a generation of young players to believe in teamwork, it can now inspire a new global generation. This idea, uniting performance and meaning, is what makes the team different. The front office sees basketball as a universal language, and Kai would be the perfect translation of that vision. While negotiations remain speculative, the team continues its path on the court. Wins do not come easily, but they are consistent. Collective defense improves with each game, tactical adjustments become sharper, and confidence grows. Curry continues to lead with his usual calm. Butler raises competitiveness in decisive moments. Green remains the emotional barometer. Everything functions with a harmony that seemed impossible just months ago. Yet the coaching staff is not deceived. They know the marathon has only just begun. The strategy is clear. Reach the final stretch with enough energy to face younger and more explosive rivals. That means managing not only minutes, but also egos, emotions, and expectations. In a league driven by narratives, maintaining focus is as big a challenge as winning games. Behind the curtain, executives continue to monitor the market. They know that, at some point, the right opportunity will appear. It may not be Embiid or Markkanen, but the goal remains the same: to find the piece that complements the system without corrupting its essence. It is a game of patience, and Golden State has always mastered the art of waiting for the perfect moment to act. Outside, the fans are beginning to dream again. There is an almost nostalgic feeling watching the team play with such fluidity and intelligence. The stands erupt with every Curry three-pointer, every fierce Green defense, every decisive Butler drive. The connection between team and supporters is more alive than ever. The Chase Center once again pulses with the intensity of the old days, and every game seems to carry the weight of something greater. The Golden State Warriors are living through a phase of transition, but also of rebirth. Amid rumors, adjustments, and rediscoveries, the franchise shows that there is still room for balance between tradition and innovation. It is not only about reclaiming the past, but about building the future wisely. In a league obsessed with speed and youth, the Warriors prove that knowledge and experience can still prevail. Meanwhile, Kai Sotto watches from afar, aware that his destiny may be intertwining with one of the most emblematic teams on the planet. For him, the dream is real and the path lies open. For Golden State, the journey is only beginning, and the best may still be yet to come. The season still holds unpredictable chapters. Injuries, trades, and twists are all part of the NBA's natural script. But regardless of what happens, Golden State has already proven one thing: the winning mentality survives time. And as the league's clock keeps ticking, there is a sense in the air that the San Francisco team still has something great to say. Time moves on, and as the season unfolds, the Golden State Warriors find themselves at the center of a scene that blends expectation, strategy, and a quiet faith in their own system. Inside the Chase Center, confidence comes not only from results, but from the sense that there is a clear direction being followed. Every decision, every adjustment, every conversation behind the scenes carries a purpose. The team is not reacting to what happens. It is preparing for what is yet to come. The top executives, known for their cold precision in maneuvers, maintain constant vigilance over the market. There is no rush, only meticulous observation. They know that the most valuable opportunities appear when other franchises are distracted. The NBA, after all, is a league of cycles. What today is desperation for some can be an advantage for others. And Golden State has learned to turn patience into a weapon. Behind the scenes, the analytics team continues to study every aspect of the roster. Daily reports map players' energy levels, their efficiency in different formations, and the synergy between rotations. The data is not only used to correct flaws, but to identify potential performance explosions. This is how the coaching staff can anticipate when it's time to rest or when it's time to accelerate. That scientific mindset is what keeps Golden State competitive, even amid the natural aging of its core. Stephen Curry, at 37, defies any logic of time. His physical conditioning and mentality have made him an example on and off the court. He knows his leadership now goes beyond statistics. It's about inspiration. His teammates follow him not just for his talent, but for the serenity with which he faces each game. Butler, on the other hand, is the complementary opposite. Intensity, provocation, constant energy. He is the team's pulse, the one who doesn't allow relaxation. And in the middle of that duality, Green remains the brain that connects everything, ensuring the tactical system continues to function with surgical precision. The harmony between these three pillars sustains the Warriors' rebirth. None of them seeks to dominate the spotlight. They share it. That's what gives the team strength. Each understands their role within a larger mechanism. That is the essence of Golden State, the collective above the individual. Even so, management knows that time is relentless, and so the search for renewal never stops. Kai Sotto continues to be the name that sparks curiosity and debate. His potential arrival has gained strength not only for technical reasons, but for what it symbolizes. In the team offices, there is a clear understanding that modern basketball is as global as it is digital. Players become brand ambassadors, cultural symbols, and bridges between fan bases. Kai represents all of that. Young, disciplined, charismatic, and with an entire country following him with devotion, he would bring an impact that goes beyond the court. Sources close to the front office confirm that initial contacts have been made with Kai's representatives. The interest is real, though handled discreetly. The franchise is studying ways to integrate him gradually, without haste or excessive exposure. The plan would be to bring him in for an adaptation period, perhaps starting in the development team, so he can familiarize himself with the NBA's pace and demands. The goal is not to make Kai a protagonist right away, but to shape him as part of a greater transition, a new generation guided by the final years of a legendary core. Meanwhile, the internal environment grows stronger. The group has learned to live with speculation without letting it poison the locker room. Talks about possible trades are treated naturally as part of the business. No one panics, no one gets complacent. That maturity is a direct reflection of the culture built by the franchise. In a universe dominated by immediacy, Golden State continues to operate under a rare logic: to build, not to react. Recent games have shown that this philosophy pays off. Even in tough matches, the team demonstrates patience and control. When the offense stalls, the defense takes over. When shots don't fall, off-ball movement creates opportunities. Nothing seems random. Everything is orchestrated with precision. The synchrony between veterans and young players is visible. Each night, the team shows it can still compete in any scenario. That consistency keeps Golden State in the championship conversation. No analyst dares to rule them out. Collective experience is a factor that doesn't show up on spreadsheets, but decides big games. When the pressure rises, they don't crumble. They adjust. And it's precisely that mindset that commands respect. In a league obsessed with emerging talent, Golden State keeps reminding everyone that wisdom wins too. The possible arrival of Kai Sotto would fit into this context as a bridge between eras. He would bring the energy the veterans can no longer sustain alone and would learn from them how to turn skill into legacy. Within the team's fluid offensive system, Kai would have space to use his passing ability and mid-range shot. His height and wingspan would offer new defensive options, especially in coverages and switches. He could act as a defensive anchor without slowing the pace of the attack. The idea excites not only because of its tactical potential, but because of what it symbolizes. A young man from the Philippines learning directly from one of the greatest offensive minds in history would be a story worthy of NBA books. It would represent the union between tradition and future, between the Western mind that dominated the game and the new international generation ready to transform it again. In the corridors of the Chase Center, some say this would be the perfect way to close the current cycle, passing the torch. Curry has always said that his legacy is not measured in trophies, but in impact. Teaching, inspiring, and opening paths are part of his vision. Guiding Kai Sotto through that process would be the fulfillment of that purpose. And for Golden State, it would mean something even greater than another title. The continuity of an ideal. Off the court, the effect would be immediate. The Filipino community in the Bay Area is already mobilizing on social media. Hashtags, fan art, and digital campaigns appear with every new rumor. Kai's name begins to circulate in forums and broadcasts as a symbol of hope. He hasn't played a single minute for the Warriors, yet he already evokes the same excitement that surrounded the arrival of promising youngsters in earlier times. This spontaneous connection shows the power of basketball as a universal language. Executives know that this emotional factor carries economic and cultural weight. A franchise with the Warriors' global reach does not ignore the chance to unite performance and representation. With Kai, the team would expand its impact in one of the most engaged markets in the world. The NBA has already noticed the potential of that bridge and is watching closely. Meanwhile, on the court, Golden State keeps refining details. The coach adjusts rotations, explores new combinations, and prepares the squad for long trips. The team still faces challenges, but internal cohesion compensates for limitations. Each victory reinforces the sense that patience is the right choice. The team is not racing against the clock. It is working in harmony with it. The Warriors' future seems to be drawn between two lines, the wisdom of the veterans and the promise of the newcomers. In the middle of that meeting of generations, something rare emerges, a renewed identity without loss of essence. And perhaps that is exactly what the franchise has always sought. In the NBA, everything changes in the blink of an eye, yet some stories endure. Golden State is no longer the team that surprises. It is the team that teaches. It teaches how to age with sporting dignity, how to reinvent without panic, and how to turn transition into continuity. And now, looking to the future, the franchise prepares the ground for a new cycle that may begin quietly, but with global impact. The league's clock keeps ticking, but in San Francisco, time seems to have learned to respect the rhythm of champions. And so, the Golden State Warriors march firmly between past and future, between the legacy they built and the new story they are beginning to write. The season still promises twists, but one thing is already clear. The flame that seemed to fade has begun to burn again. Whether with Curry leading, Butler igniting, or with the possible addition of Kai Sotto ushering in a new era, the Warrior spirit remains alive in San Francisco. If you believe this silent rebuild can take Golden State back to the top, leave your like now and show that you still trust this roster. And if you love basketball and want to follow every step of this journey, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any update, analysis, or behind-the-scenes story about the team proving to the world that a true champion never retires. He simply reinvents himself.